The space station hung in the dark like a silver ring around a blue gas giant. The planet below moved slowly, covered in clouds that never rested. Ships came and went from the station every hour. Cargo ships, patrol ships, and long trade vessels moved in careful lines, guided by lights and signals. Inside the station, life followed strict rules. Every sound had a reason. Every movement had a time. The alien race that controlled the station believed that order was strength. They were tall, broad, and covered in layered armor that looked like metal but moved like skin. Their voices were deep and sharp. They valued discipline above all things. Humans were new to the Galactic Union. Many species had joined long ago, but humans had only started traveling beyond their own system a few years earlier. They were still seen as outsiders. Some aliens thought humans were weak because they were smaller. Others thought they were too emotional. Many simply did not understand them. A human cargo ship named Horizon Drift approached the station and requested docking permission. Its hull showed signs of long travel. Burn marks and repair plates covered parts of its surface. The ship carried minerals from an asteroid belt near Earth space. Among the crew was a young human woman named Mira Hale. She worked as a systems technician. She checked power lines, life support systems, and shield relays. Why, she did not talk much, but she watched everything around her. She had short, dark hair and steady gray eyes. She moved with quiet purpose. As the ship docked, the crew prepared to attend a mandatory security briefing. All new arrivals had to report to the central hall for inspection and instruction. The station command did not make exceptions. On the way to the hall, an alarm sounded in one of the lower maintenance corridors. An oxygen flow line had dropped below safe levels. Workers in that section reported pressure loss. If not fixed quickly, several storage rooms would seal automatically, delaying cargo transfer. Mira stopped walking. The rest of the crew kept moving toward the hall. She turned toward the corridor display and studied the readings. The drop was small but steady. She knew it could become serious. One of her crewmates told her to leave it. The station engineers would handle it. Mira shook her head. The reading showed the damage was close to the docking clamps, where their ship connected. If the line failed, their own systems could be affected. She ran toward the maintenance corridor. The hallway lights flickered slightly as she entered the narrow passage. The air smelled faintly metallic. She followed the sound of escaping gas until she found a thin crack along a joint seal. She knelt down and opened her toolkit. Her hands moved fast but steady. She sealed the crack with a quick bond patch and reinforced it with a pressure brace, and she checked the monitor on her wrist device. Oxygen levels began to rise again. She let out a slow breath. The problem was contained. Then she looked at the time. She was late. In the central hall, rows of alien officers stood in straight lines. The room was large and shaped like a dome. Light panels glowed above in cold white tones. Humans and other species stood in separate groups on the floor, waiting. At the front stood the station's lead security officer. His name was Drax Bolin. He was taller than most of his kind and wore heavier armor across his chest and shoulders. A long scar marked one side of his helmet. He believed strongly that humans lacked discipline. He was speaking about station law when the doors at the back of the hall slid open with a soft hiss. Mira stepped inside. The doors closed behind her. The sound echoed more than it should have. All eyes turned. Drax stopped speaking. Silence filled the hall. Mira stood still, near the entrance. She knew she had interrupted the briefing. She also knew there was no point pretending otherwise. Drax slowly walked toward her. Each step of his armored boots struck the metal floor with a heavy sound. He stopped a few feet away. "You are late," he said in a low voice that carried across the room. Mira kept her posture straight. There was a pressure leak near Dock 7. I sealed it. A few alien officers exchanged looks. They had received notice that the leak had stopped. Drax did not seem impressed.
"Station engineers handle station problems," he replied. "You were ordered to attend this briefing."
Mira answered calmly. "The leak was close to our ship's connection point. I acted to prevent further damage." The room felt tense. Some of the humans avoided looking at her. They had already learned that arguing with station command rarely ended well. Drax stepped closer. "You will learn," he said, "that on this station discipline comes before personal judgment." Without warning, he reached out and grabbed her arm. His grip was strong. His fingers tightened around her forearm through the fabric of her uniform. Gasps sounded from different corners of the hall. He pulled her slightly forward. "This," he said loudly, "is what happens when rules are ignored." Mira felt the pressure of his grip. She felt the weight of his armored body leaning slightly toward her. She noticed the angle of his feet. She noticed how most of his weight rested forward, not balanced. Her face did not show anger. Her breathing remained slow. Inside her mind, time seemed to slow down. She remembered training rooms back on Earth. She remembered instructors telling her to observe first, act second. She remembered the gravity of her home world, heavier than most colony worlds in the Union. Drax tightened his grip again, trying to force her to kneel. The first second passed. Mira shifted her weight slightly onto her back foot. The second passed. She rotated her wrist inward, creating space between his fingers and her arm. The third second passed. She stepped closer instead of pulling away, moving inside his reach. The fourth second passed. Her free hand pressed against his elbow joint. The fifth second passed. She twisted sharply, using his own forward balance against him. The sixth second passed. His grip loosened. The seventh second passed. She pivoted behind him, guiding his upper body forward. The eighth second passed. His heavy armor shifted his center of gravity too far ahead. The ninth second passed. She completed the motion with controlled force. The 10th second passed. Drax Volan hit the floor. The sound of armored metal striking metal echoed like a shockwave. His helmet struck first. His body followed with a heavy crash. The hall froze. No one moved. Mira stepped back immediately. She released him the moment he lost balance. She raised both hands slowly to shoulder level, showing open palms. She did not speak. Drax lay on the floor, stunned. His armor absorbed most of the impact, but the fall hurt his pride more than his body. Several security drones dropped from the ceiling, hovering in the air with soft mechanical hums. Their scanning lights turned toward Mira. Other officers rushed forward, unsure whether to assist Drax or detain the human. The humans in the hall stared in disbelief. No one had ever seen an officer fall like that. Drax pushed himself up slowly. He rose to one knee first, then stood with visible stiffness. His helmet display flickered once before stabilizing. His gaze locked onto Mira. Rage burned in his eyes. "You attacked a security officer," he said. Mira kept her hands raised. "You grabbed me without cause. I defended myself." Her voice was steady, not loud, not afraid. The station commander, who had been observing from an upper platform, activated the hall speakers. "Enough," the commander said. His voice was older and colder than Drax's. "Security drones, hold position." The drones froze mid-air. "Human technician," the commander continued, "step forward slowly." Mira obeyed. She walked to the center of the hall floor, still calm. Drax stood rigid, armor scratched slightly at the shoulder. The commander's image appeared on a large wall display. His features were sharp, his expression unreadable. "Explain your action," he ordered. Mira lowered her hands but kept them visible. "I was grabbed and pulled without warning. I responded to break contact. I applied minimal force necessary to free myself." A murmur moved through the crowd. The commander looked toward Drax. "Did you strike her before she acted?" Drax hesitated for half a second. "I restrained her," he replied. "For what reason?" "For public correction of discipline." The hall grew even quieter. The commander's eyes narrowed slightly. At that moment, the station's central combat monitoring system activated automatically. A soft tone filled the room. A neutral voice echoed from hidden speakers. "Incident recorded. Threat evaluation in progress." Everyone looked upward. The system processed movement data, force levels, and posture angles. After a few seconds, it spoke again. "Assessment. Human subject responded within self-defense parameters. Force level non-lethal. No continued aggression detected." Shock spread across alien and human faces alike. Drax stiffened. The commander did not speak immediately. Mira stood silent. The system's words hung in the air like a weight. Finally, the commander spoke. "Human technician Mira Hale, you are to be escorted to a holding chamber for further review." He then looked at Drax. "Security Officer Volan, report to medical for evaluation." The order was balanced, but the tension was clear. Two officers approached Mira carefully. She allowed them to place light restraint cuffs around her wrists. She did not resist. As she was led toward the exit, many eyes followed her. Some were angry. Some were confused. A few showed something new: respect. The hall doors opened once more, and she walked through them without looking back. Behind her, whispers began to spread. Humans were not as fragile as many believed. And something had changed on that station in just 10 seconds. Outside, beyond the metal walls, the blue gas giant continued its silent spin. The station lights glowed against the endless dark, and the story of what happened in that hall had only just begun. Mira sat in the holding chamber, the metal walls cool against her back. The lights were dim, just enough to see the controls on the wall. The room smelled faintly of ozone and metal. A soft hum filled the space, the sound of life support and security systems working. She folded her hands in her lap. Her breathing was calm. She did not panic. Humans had been judged before, and humans had survived. Outside, footsteps echoed in the corridor. An alien officer approached, but he moved differently. He did not stomp in the usual harsh way. He paused, curious rather than angry. His name was Ral. He was a medium-height alien, with pale armor and soft blue eyes that seemed to see more than others. He stopped before the chamber door. The glass panel showed Mira sitting still. He activated the lock panel and entered. He bowed slightly. It was a polite gesture in his culture. "Human," he said, his voice quiet. "May I speak with you?" Mira nodded. "I will answer." He did not approach too close. He wanted to study her reactions. "I am not here to punish you," he said. "I am curious. You acted in 10 seconds. I have watched the data feed. The speed, the precision. It is remarkable. She understood curiosity. It could be dangerous, but it was safer than anger. I reacted to being grabbed. That is all. Raoul observed her carefully. You did not strike him to harm him? No. I only freed myself. Most aliens would not survive such a maneuver without injury. Your species, you are stronger than records suggest. Mira leaned back slightly. She decided to explain, but only briefly. Earth gravity is higher than most worlds here. Humans train their bodies to cope with it. Our muscles, our bones, we are denser. That is why I moved fast and controlled him. Raoul considered her words. He moved to the console and accessed station records. The computer quickly pulled data from Earth's gravity, human physiology, and previous reports of humans in low-gravity environments. Most species had only heard of humans as fragile explorers, but these records showed strength, speed, and resilience far beyond expectation. He turned back to Mira. You could move faster and strike with less effort, but your body did not harm him. That is unusual. Other species would have caused injury or worse. Mira nodded. I know my strength. I control it. That is why I could step behind him, twist, and he fell. It was necessary to free myself, not to punish. Raoul stepped closer. Do all humans possess such reflexes? No, but we are trained to survive. On Earth, storms, earthquakes, predators. Humans adapt, we learn quickly, and act fast. The hum of the holding chamber seemed louder now. Outside, footsteps continued in the hall. Other aliens whispered, some angry, some afraid, some impressed. The story of Mira's 10 seconds had spread faster than she imagined. Raoul studied her more. You understand strategy, observation, movement. This is unusual for your species, even if strength is known. Mira tilted her head. Adaptation is not just strength. It is awareness. We watch, calculate, and act. Raoul's pale eyes focused on her. You may have saved more than yourself. Drax Volan, the officer you defended against, he is injured more in pride than body. But the consequences of your action, the station, may be divided. Some will see humans as dangerous, others will see them as vital. This is significant. Mira's mind did not stop. She thought of what might happen next. She knew the station was not perfectly safe. Pirates, thieves, and enemies of the Union often watched stations like this. Weakness was exploited. Strength and intelligence often decided survival. Raoul left the chamber for a moment. He returned with a small datapad. He tapped quickly, showing diagrams of the human body, Drax's fall, and the measured force applied by Mira. He did not explain, just showed. Numbers, lines, and colors spoke clearly enough. Mira glanced at the screen. She saw that the sensors had recorded the impact, the rotations, the angles. She saw how her movement leveraged Drax's armor and weight. The data confirmed her calculations had been precise. Do you always fight this way? Raoul asked. No, she replied. Only when necessary. Most humans avoid conflict unless it is needed. He seemed to think deeply. Then his face changed slightly, a hint of concern appearing. He activated a communication link. Command, he said. We need a review of the station's defense systems. I am concerned about external threats while internal incidents continue. Mira listened quietly. She did not need to act yet, but her mind prepared. She always prepared. She thought of the corridors, the gravity adjustments, the movement of soldiers and crew. Even in a holding chamber, she imagined strategies and possibilities. A sudden alarm interrupted the conversation. Red lights flashed faintly through the chamber window. The air vibrated slightly with emergency announcements. Rel looked at Mira. "This is not drill." She stood. "Pirates? They are close," he said. "Sensors detect multiple ships in the outer approach lanes. Shields are not fully operational. Many officers are injured or occupied." Mira's heart did not race. Her breathing remained controlled. She had expected danger. She had prepared for it. Raul nodded. "I cannot assign you officially, but we may need every capable fighter. You understand strategy, speed, and the station. Will you assist?" Mira paused for a moment. She weighed the situation. Helping could mean risk, but it could also save lives. Humans always acted when the choice was survival. "I will help," she said simply. Raul's eyes widened slightly, as if surprised by the firmness of her choice. Outside the chamber, the station shuddered slightly as pirate ships moved closer. Lights flickered. A deep rumble traveled through the floors and walls. Crew members hurried along corridors, some shouting orders, others moving civilians to safety. Mira considered the holding cuffs. She tested her movement. They would not slow her much. The started her return, that sentence that came and right and Frino. Upload the train store and of the train stars and melodies, and he stepped aside, motioning her out. "You will lead a small team through the maintenance corridors. Use your knowledge of the station. Gravity corridors, pressure doors. You understand how to maneuver where others cannot." Mira nodded, walking past him. Her steps were careful, measured. Every move counted. As she moved through the hallways, she observed every detail. Lights, walls, the hum of machinery, even the way the emergency lights flickered. They all mattered. The pirate ships would come expecting a standard defense. They would not expect her. She thought back to the 10 seconds in the briefing hall. In those moments, she had calculated angles, weight, and balance. Now she would calculate movement, positions, and opportunity. The station felt alive around her. Metal walls, glowing panels, shifting gravity zones, and the faint vibrations from approaching ships all created a pattern she could read. She moved fast but quietly, slipping past injured officers and hurrying humans. Her steps did not cause unnecessary sound. Raul followed, keeping a distance, observing, but not interfering. He trusted her instincts. Mira reached the first junction. A group of human and alien crew waited there. They looked confused and scared. She raised her hands and spoke clearly. "Move to high-gravity corridors. Watch your step. Cover each other. The pirates will not expect humans here." The crew nodded, listening. Fear still lingered, but they followed her commands. The clarity of her voice, the calm in her movements gave confidence. The next steps would be dangerous. The pirates were close. Their boarding ships would arrive in minutes. But Mira had seen danger before. She had survived worse. She adjusted the restraints on her wrists. They were light, a formality, not a barrier. She had trained her body to work despite obstacles. Her eyes scanned every corridor, every junction, every vent. Nothing would be ignored. Raul watched her silently. He understood now why the system had marked her as self-defense capable. She was not just fast. She was aware. She thought 10 moves ahead. Outside, the pirate fleet edged closer. Red lights of approach warnings glowed on the hull. The station shuddered again. Emergency protocols activated. Doors sealed in sections. Turrets powered up. But many defenses were damaged, and most soldiers were unprepared. Mira stepped into the main conduit of the station. She looked back once at Rao. "Are you ready?" He nodded. "I will follow your lead." Her mind focused. Observation, calculation, movement, survival. The same principles that guided her for 10 seconds in the hall now extended across the station. The battle for the station had not begun, but the first moves had been made. Mira was ready. Mira moved through the narrow corridors of the space station with a quiet purpose. Her steps were measured, careful, and precise. The alarms still rang, red lights flashed, and the hum of machinery vibrated through the metal floors and walls. The other humans and aliens followed her lead, some hesitating, but all understanding that she had a plan. The fear in their eyes was real, but so was the trust that her calm gave them. Raoul stayed a few steps behind, watching her closely. His eyes followed every movement, every gesture, every small adjustment in the way she walked or moved her hands. He could see that she was not only reacting to the environment, she was analyzing it, preparing for possibilities that most others could not even imagine. "High-gravity corridor ahead," Mira said softly, her voice cutting through the noise. "Keep your balance and move carefully. The pirates will not expect anyone here." The crew nodded and followed her. The corridor shifted slightly as they moved into a section where artificial gravity increased. Most aliens slowed immediately, their limbs feeling heavier, their steps awkward. Humans like Mira adjusted naturally. Her movements remained smooth, her steps confident. The difference in adaptation was clear. The high gravity made her small group a powerful force in a place where others felt weak. At the end of the corridor, Mira paused. She pressed a small device against a panel, and a map of the station flickered in front of them. Red dots moved along the exterior of the station, indicating incoming pirate boarding ships. Blue and green dots marked their own security forces, some moving sluggishly, others injured and unable to fight. Rao leaned over her shoulder. "Your species' strength in high gravity is remarkable. Even a few humans can control strategic points easily." Mira nodded. "Strength is useful, but planning is key. We need to predict their moves, force them into disadvantage." She assigned positions to the human crew first, explaining where to block passages, where to act as lookouts, and where to provide cover. Aliens hesitated at first, unsure of trusting human strategy, but the calm authority in Mira's voice made them follow orders. Outside the windows, the first pirate boarding ships attached to the station. They were armed and menacing, with long spikes and grappling arms designed to crush anyone who resisted. Red lights flashed across their hulls as docking clamps locked onto the station. The pirates expected weak resistance, slow humans, and confused alien officers. They did not know Mira Hale was leading the defense. Mira guided the crew silently toward the junction near the storage bays. She knew the area well. Gravity controls allowed her to manipulate the environment subtly, slowing alien movements but letting humans move with ease. She positioned her team behind reinforced crates and emergency bulkheads, ready to strike when the pirates entered. The first pirate came through a bulkhead. Its armor was heavy, but in the high-gravity corridor its movements slowed. Mira gave a small hand signal. 2 human crew members stepped out, using their higher strength and speed to throw the pirate off balance. knocking it to the floor. Its armor clanged loudly, and the other pirates hesitated. Ral watched in astonishment. "They underestimated you," he muttered. Mira whispered, "Most always do." Another wave of pirates moved through a side corridor. Mira and her team used the narrow space to their advantage. They pushed the attackers into choke points where only one or two could move at a time. The high gravity amplified the difference in strength and speed between humans and aliens. The aliens defending the station struggled to keep up, while Mira's team moved fluidly, striking, blocking, and pushing enemies back. During the fighting, Drax Volin, the officer who had grabbed Mira earlier, appeared. He was injured slightly from his fall in the briefing hall, and his pride still burned, and he understood the danger. He could not command, but he could fight. Mira motioned for him to cover the rear, where a small group of pirates tried to flank them. He nodded and, despite his initial reluctance, followed the orders. His armor now felt heavier in the high gravity, making every movement slow and exhausting. Mira assessed every pirate's movement, anticipating their strikes, predicting where they would step. She coordinated her team with subtle gestures. Barely a sound, yet every member knew what to do. Aliens and humans alike were caught off guard by her efficiency. One pirate attempted to swing a heavy blade, aiming for Mira herself. She stepped aside lightly, using the pirate's momentum against it. Its own swing caused it to stumble forward, crashing into a crate. She did not strike again, only positioned herself to block any further attack. Her precision and control left even the aliens watching in awe. Raoul noticed the pattern. "She fights without wasting energy, but maximizes effect," he whispered. "This is not brute force. It is intelligence, strategy, and awareness, combined with physical ability." The battle continued through multiple corridors. Mira's team advanced carefully, forcing pirates into dead ends where their weight and slowed movements became disadvantages. Small explosions of energy and sparks flew as pirates tried to use weapons, but most misfired due to the station's protective fields and clever positioning of Mira's crew. In one moment, a pirate tried to crush one of Mira's human team members with a swinging arm. Mira reacted instantly, using her own strength to push the pirate back and her foot to stabilize the human teammate. It was a precise, calculated move. The pirate fell heavily, groaning, unable to continue. Drax Volin observed quietly, injured but learning. The same human he had judged as weak 10 seconds ago had now turned the battle. He realized he had been wrong. Humans were not weak. They were adaptable, intelligent, and capable in ways he had never considered. As the pirates were forced back, Raul and Mira discussed strategy. "We can use the maintenance conduits to redirect them," Mira said. "The narrow passages slow them. We force them into traps. Their armor becomes a liability. Their speed is useless here." Rel nodded, realizing that the station's defense had shifted. Humans, especially Mira, were now the center of the strategy. The aliens could assist, but without her guidance, many would have been overwhelmed by brute force alone. Mira moved forward, checking the corridor junctions, repositioning her team as needed. Her movements were calm, precise, yet every step was calculated to counter the next possible threat. She thought ahead, imagining the flow of enemies, the shifts in gravity, the positions of obstacles and allies. The pirates hesitated at every turn. They had expected easy conquest, but now every passage was blocked or defended. Some were captured in choke points, immobilized by their own armor weight. Others retreated, their movements sluggish, confused, and frustrated. Mira paused briefly to check her team. Everyone was alive. A few minor scratches, nothing more. The humans moved with confidence now. The aliens, observing her leadership, began to trust and follow her commands more closely. Rawl's eyes studied her constantly. In 10 seconds, she fell. In 10 minutes, she may save the station, he whispered to himself. This is more than strength. This is the mind of a strategist, the instincts of a survivor. The first stage of the battle was won, but the station remained under threat. Pirate reinforcements were still outside. Weapons and turrets needed to be manned, corridors secured, civilians protected. Mira's mind raced ahead, already planning the next steps, analyzing weaknesses, and preparing counterattacks. Even Drax Volan had begun to see the truth. The human woman he had judged harshly in a briefing hall had not only defended herself, she had turned the tides of the battle. He now approached her cautiously, following her orders, his pride slowly replaced by reluctant respect. Mira continued her work silently, observing, leading, and preparing. Every step, every glance, every motion had a purpose. Her calm presence inspired confidence. Her intelligence guided action. Her human strength gave advantage where others struggled. Outside the windows, the pirate ships continued to loom, unaware that their plans were unraveling. Inside the station, a small human crew led by Mira controlled the flow of battle, channeling enemy forces into disadvantage, saving lives, and setting the stage for victory. The story of the 10 seconds in the hall had grown into a story of minutes, then hours. One human, aware, calm, and strong, was now changing the outcome of the station's defense. The legend of Mira Hale and her 10-second response had just begun, but it was already clear that humans were not as weak as the universe believed. The station shook as another set of pirate ships attached to the outer docking points. Red lights flashed throughout the corridors. Alarms blared and a low rumble moved through the floors. Civilians hurried to secure shelters, guided by automated instructions, while the injured officers struggled to reach weapon stations. Mira moved quickly, but calmly, her steps precise and measured. She had mapped the corridors and gravity shifts in her mind, ready to use them to the crew's advantage. Ral stayed behind her as they moved through a high-gravity corridor, observing. The aliens cannot fight here efficiently, he whispered. Their movements slow. They cannot match you or your team. Mira nodded. We will use it. They do not understand our strength in these corridors. At a junction, she positioned her team strategically. Human crew members were assigned to choke points, where the narrow space amplified their advantage. Alien officers, initially hesitant, were placed where they could cover flanks, their slower movement less of a liability. Every decision was calculated, every step designed to turn the station's vulnerabilities into strength. The first wave of pirates moved into the corridor. They expected minimal resistance. Instead, they were met by humans who moved quickly, struck precisely, and used their knowledge of gravity to control the fight. Pirates stumbled, their heavy armor weighing them down, their speed and reflexes compromised. Mira and her team exploited every advantage, pushing attackers into traps and corners. Drax Volan, previously the officer who had grabbed Mira's arm, appeared behind her with a small team. He still carried the sting of his earlier humiliation, but the danger required him to act. Mira directed him to a corridor where pirates tried to flank her team. He followed her orders carefully, covering the rear and protecting the human crew members. One pirate charged at Mira directly, swinging a heavy weapon. Mira anticipated the motion, sidestepped, and used the pirate's own momentum to push it into a wall. She did not strike further, maintaining control over the situation. Her precision and awareness left even the aliens watching with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Another group of pirates attempted to bypass the main defense. Mira instructed Raal to guide the aliens to secondary positions. With her leadership, even those previously hesitant began to act decisively, blocking entrances, covering exits, and maintaining communication without chaos. The high-gravity corridors made pirate armor cumbersome, and their slowed movements allowed Mira's small team to neutralize them effectively. The corridors shook again as a nearby ship fired plasma bolts. Sparks flew along the walls, creating flashes of light and momentary smoke. Mira signaled her team to take cover, and they adjusted without hesitation. No panic, no confusion, only precise action. She checked her team, ensuring everyone was accounted for, then directed their next move. Raal observed silently, impressed by her calm in the chaos. She calculates movements faster than our systems can track. She is aware of every possibility, and every member follows instinctively. Mira moved toward a junction where several pirates had gathered, trying to overwhelm a single human officer. She gestured quickly, and her team executed a coordinated strike. The pirates were forced into a corner, their weight working against them. Humans moved fast, striking with controlled force, avoiding injury but maintaining control. The aliens now recognized the value of the human strategy. The battle was not about sheer force. It was about intelligence and timing. Suddenly, a heavy piece of sealing machinery became unstable from the vibrations. It began to fall directly toward Drax Volan. He did not have time to react. Mira saw the danger immediately. Without hesitation, she ran forward, lifted the falling piece with a precise combination of strength and leverage, and pulled Drax free from harm. The debris landed behind them with a loud crash. Drax looked at Mira, a mixture of shock and gratitude on his face. He had underestimated her strength and awareness. His pride was slowly replaced with respect. Mira nodded to him, then turned back to the corridors, refocusing on the battle. There was no time for words. Every second mattered. The pirates regrouped and attempted another push. Mira guided her team into a narrow ventilation shaft, creating an ambush point. The high gravity slowed the attackers, and Mira's humans struck with precision, forcing the pirates into disadvantage. Every move was calculated to maximize efficiency while minimizing risk. Raal communicated with other station units, redirecting reinforcements to critical points identified by Mira. Her strategy began to influence the larger battle. Alien officers, once skeptical of human ability, now followed her lead. Civilians were secured, and injured crew members were moved to safe zones. The station's defenses, once chaotic, were now coordinated under Mira's guidance. During a brief pause in the fighting, Mira assessed the situation. Most pirates had been slowed, trapped, or repelled. Some were retreating, unsure how to navigate the high-gravity corridors. Her team remained ready, poised to act at a moment's notice. The station, once vulnerable, now had a fighting chance thanks to her leadership. She turned to Raal. We must anticipate their next move. They will try to regroup and attack from unexpected angles. We cannot let them take the central hub. Raal nodded, impressed by her foresight. You see more than the battle. You see the flow, the patterns. You are not just strong. You are aware of everything, predicting every possibility. Mira adjusted her team positions, reinforcing weak points and preparing for another wave. The pirates were clever, but their underestimation of human capability was now clear. The corridor became a controlled battlefield, each movement of her team calculated to maintain advantage. A group of pirates attempted a surprise attack from an upper level. Mira signaled to Drax, directing him and a small team to intercept. They moved quickly, leveraging the gravity shifts to gain advantage. The attackers were repelled before they could reach critical positions. Mira's understanding of the station layout allowed her to predict their movements before they even acted. The battle continued, intense, but controlled. Mira remained calm, directing her team, monitoring the attackers, and adjusting strategies. Every human in her crew acted with precision, inspired by her leadership. The aliens, once skeptical, now moved with confidence, following her guidance. As the fight reached a temporary pause, Mira took a moment to scan the corridors. The pirates had been repelled, though some still lingered in distant sections. The station was damaged, but not lost. Her team had proven that humans were more than capable, and their presence had turned the tide of the defense. Drax Volan approached her once more. He did not speak at first, only observed her calm demeanor and the efficiency of her command. Finally, he said, "I underestimated you. Humans are stronger and smarter than I thought." Mira nodded simply. "We adapt. That is what makes us strong." Ral observed quietly, recording data for analysis. "This will change the way the station perceives humans. One human can influence the outcome of a battle in ways others cannot." Mira did not respond. Her focus remained on the corridors and the remaining pirates. The battle was not over, but the human advantage was clear. Strength, intelligence, and strategy combined to create an unexpected force that the attackers could not match. Outside, pirate ships continued to hover, unaware of the resistance inside. Inside the station, a human crew, guided by Mira, controlled the battlefield. Every movement, every decision, and every strike was calculated, turning the station's weakness into its greatest strength. The story of Mira Hale and the 10-second incident had grown into a story of minutes, then hours. One human, aware, calm, and strong, had changed the course of the station's defense. The pirates, once confident, now faced an enemy they did not understand. The station was alive with strategy, movement, and intelligence, all centered on a single human who had proven that humans were not to be underestimated. The station was quiet after the battle. Alarms had stopped, red lights returned to their normal glow, and the corridors were filled with the exhausted hum of machines and ventilation systems. Debris was scattered, walls were scorched, and equipment had been damaged, but the station remained intact. Mira walked slowly through the corridors, her team following behind. Their faces showed fatigue, but also the quiet satisfaction of victory. Raoul observed the aftermath with careful eyes. He had recorded everything, noting strategies, movements, and outcomes. He was aware that the events today would change perceptions of humans forever. One human, aware and precise, had shifted the balance of an entire station's defense. Drax Volan, once the officer who had grabbed Mira's arm, now walked beside her, leaning slightly on a support. His armor was dented, scratches marking battles, but his pride had softened. He had learned a lesson that could not be erased by words. Underestimating humans was dangerous. The commander's voice echoed through the station's intercom. "All personnel, report to the Central Hall for review. Assessment of the battle and commendations will take place immediately." Mira glanced at Ral. "Shall we go?" Ral nodded. "Yes. The crew needs closure. The commander will acknowledge the outcomes, and your actions must be recorded properly." The central hall was large and still scarred from the recent events. Panels hung slightly off alignment, and some lights flickered weakly. The crew assembled, humans and aliens standing together in cautious relief. Some aliens whispered among themselves, glances exchanged about the unexpected strength and intelligence of human leadership. The commander entered, his presence commanding respect. He observed the crew quietly for a moment before speaking. The station faced a critical threat. Many officers were injured or delayed. Yet despite these challenges, the station remains operational. The defense has succeeded. Analysis shows that one human technician played a pivotal role in the outcome. All eyes turned toward Mira. Some humans looked surprised, others proud, while many aliens stared in disbelief. Mira's calm expression did not change. She had acted as necessary. Recognition was not important to her. Survival, strategy, and precision had been her only goals. The commander continued. Human Nira Hale demonstrated extraordinary situational awareness, strategic calculation, and adaptability. Her leadership in high-gravity corridors and her coordination of both human and alien personnel were decisive. The station acknowledges her actions. Drax Volan stepped forward. The injured officer lowered his helmet slightly, exposing his face. The long scar along his side glinted under the hall lights. He looked at Mira, eyes sincere. Slowly, he bent forward in a bow, a sign of respect in his culture. It was not just a gesture of gratitude, but of recognition and humility. I judged you without understanding your species, Drax said quietly, his voice carrying to the nearby crew. I was wrong. Humans are not weak. They are intelligent, adaptable, and strong. I apologize for my actions and acknowledge your leadership. Mira nodded slightly. I do not seek conflict, she said, but I will not accept injustice. Strength, strategy, and awareness are our tools. How we use them defines us. Commander, I suggest creating a joint human-alien tactical program. Humans have skills and instincts that are invaluable, especially in high-gravity environments and situations requiring adaptability. Recording these lessons can strengthen future operations. The commander nodded slowly. Your suggestion will be implemented. Humans are now acknowledged as vital contributors to station defense. The records of this battle will be preserved for future strategy and training. Mira turned to look out one of the large observation windows. The blue gas giant loomed silently, clouds drifting over its surface. Beyond, the stars stretched into darkness, scattered with distant lights of ships and stations. Earth was far away, but visible on the station's digital display. A reminder of home, of origin, and of human perseverance. The crew around her began to move back to their duties, some still tending to injuries, others repairing systems, but a quiet sense of accomplishment lingered. Humans and aliens alike had witnessed the effectiveness of coordination, intelligence, and calm in the face of danger. Drax stayed behind, walking slowly toward Mira. Your actions today will be remembered, he said, and I will not forget the lesson. I misjudged your species in 10 seconds, 10 minutes, 10 hours, maybe more, and I now understand the truth. Humans are more than they seem. Mira gave a small nod, acknowledging the words without arrogance. She did not need to boast. Actions had spoken louder than words. Ral added quietly, the station survived because of the combination of human adaptability and strategy. Your species can turn even the smallest team into a decisive force. Today proves it. Outside, the last of the pirate ships retreated. Their boarding attempts failed. They had underestimated the humans, especially Mira. Their defeat was not just a lesson for them, but a statement to the entire station. Humans were to be respected, not dismissed. Mira moved through the hallways, assisting with the wounded, checking systems, and giving brief instructions. Her presence inspired confidence. Even in exhaustion, humans could be counted on to act decisively and wisely. Later, in a small private chamber, Mira sat quietly while Rao reviewed logs of the battle. Each movement, each calculation, each response was recorded in detail. The data would be used to train future crews, human and alien alike. It would ensure that the advantage of intelligence, awareness, and adaptability would not be lost. Rawl finally spoke. Your 10 seconds in the hall changed much more than a single officer's pride. It has changed how the station perceives humans. Your actions today will be remembered as an example of skill, strategy, and calm in adversity. Mira looked up, her eyes reflecting the glow of the observation panels. Humans are new to the stars, she said softly. But we are not weak, and we will never let ourselves be dismissed without reason. The station, quiet now, hummed with life, systems repaired, corridors cleared, and the crew returning to their duties. The battle was over, but the respect earned would last far longer. Mira's actions had proven that strength alone did not define a species. Awareness, strategy, and choice were just as important. Humanity had arrived, not with arrogance, but with intelligence and resolve. The story of Mira Hale and the 10-second incident had grown into a story of minutes, hours, and ultimately, respect. The humans were no longer outsiders, no longer underestimated. They were a vital part of the Galactic Union, a species to be reckoned with, capable of turning moments of danger into lessons of survival, strategy, and human strength. The end of the battle marked the beginning of a new understanding. Humans, though small, were mighty.